so, recreation softball, and it's so important. Who could have had a better baseball coach than Jerry Sanders? You remember Jerry Sanders as a baseball coach?
Yes.
Well, going back to who electrified me, Whitey Whitman, James Whitey Whitman.
Said that many times.
Was an electric person, Christian, and dynamic.
Well, you appreciate how great his program was after you were out of the program. Had to be the best physical education program in America that he led at Charles Henderson Middle School.
He retired in December of 1997, and I came to Troy and took his job in the summer of '98. And that's like replacing Bear Bryant in football.
Well, you're exactly right.
Or Nick Saban in football.
No question about it. I tell you what, let's think about the role models, the guys that have made great role models in our lives this morning. There's a guy in Montgomery in a nursing home. His name is Pete Farrell. Do y'all remember Pete Farrell?
Yes, of course.
He's one of the great. He's one of the great people in my life. He's one of my 3 or 4 real role models in my life. And old Pete Farrell, gosh, he was. I've never heard him raise his voice other than to shout, "Y'all, play ball" or something like that. He's quite a man. He's still living he's in a nursing home in Montgomery.
Yep.
I tell you what, how he influenced my life. I'll tell you a couple of things. At one time, I broke my collarbone in my front yard with me and Richard Williford. My brother Joel were playing football, and I broke my collarbone, and they took me to Troy. Back then, collarbone was sort of they put me in a cast and I looked like I had on a pair of shoulder pads on. Well, I remember Friday night, it was a football night, and everybody was going to the football game, and high school football game, and what a big thing that was to me back then. And Pete Fair came by my house and brought me some funny books and some other things. And he just said, it was right before everybody was going to the game. And Pete sat there with me for about 30 minutes, and it meant so much to me that he would care that much of me to come by and see me for a ball game. And another thing I'll tell you about him, everybody wants to know how recreation got started. Well, Pete Farrell was the recreation director. He was the only one. It was Pete Farrell having to do it all. Well, I saw him across the street. He lived on White Drive. It's not even. It's my. I hear. But he was there. I'm trying to get here over this song, but he was out of his front yard
Well, you got to speak up, Mike. We can't hear you.
We're losing you. Is your TV on?
Hey, Mike, we can't hear you.
Oh, we got another call. Good morning. Welcome to Today in L.A.
Hey, morning.
All right. Let's see if we can get your dad back on. He's kind of cutting in and out.
Okay.
Hang on.
I've heard that story Mike's talking about, though. He was out there, Mr.
Good
Farrell
morning.
was out there
You on Today in L.A.?
painting helmets for Pee Wee football.
You got me.
Mike, can you hear us?
You have me.
We're having trouble hearing you, Mike. There you go.
Well, we lost you for a little while.
We lost you, but we picked up your son, Michael. Good morning, Michael.
Morning. What I was talking about was Pete Farrell did so many things for our recreation department back then, and we had brand new uniforms with Knox Street team had blue, and the Grundy Street team had green, and the College Street team had red.
Mike, is your TV on?
Teams had yellow.
Yeah, Dad, you got to turn your TV down or off.
Turn the volume off, because something's going. We're having a hard time picking you up.
Echo coming from your TV.
Is that good?
That's better. Oh, that's 100% better.
All right, good. I'm sorry. I was wondering about what was going on. Go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
We couldn't hear you. Well, good morning, Michael. What's the weather looking like down there in northern Florida on the Panhandle?
Still raining. It's gonna be raining until Sunday, I believe. But still a lot of people down here. Seeing a lot of Tennessee tags and Texas tags. I think this is probably gonna be it for spring break, and then before you know it, you'll have school out and everybody down here for beach week. So
Hey, yeah. I've got a report.
Kind of continues.
Guys, let me tell you this. It's really unreal. We're not but just a few weeks for the start of high school football. If you'll think about it, we'll soon be into May, and then after May, school's out, and believe it or not, the first week, you'll have a break the first week of June, but after that, coaches can actually practice with their players. It's the most unreal thing I've ever heard of, and then by you got a quick July. You'll have July the 4th. I've always said that July the 4th was to me the start of football, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun. No
I think the Alabama and Auburn A-Day games are Saturday.
Yeah, that would be something you could do. Yeah.
That's on ESPN. The Alabama game will be on ESPN.
Okay.
At 1 o'clock, I believe that's correct.
Auburn game will be on the FCC network.
Yeah. Hey,
Mike, I was thinking Alabama. I know everybody's got to be looking at their receiver core. Will they have some good Do they have some good receivers?
I mean, they signed some really great players, and then they got Bolden coming back. Billingsley, he was a big-time tight end last year. He'll be back. Then after that, everybody's pretty young.
Mechie.
Mechie's going to be back, and he'll be the star wide receiver. But Mechie was injured and will not participate in spring. But Mechie's going to be your Devontae Smith go-to guy next year.
Is he going to be a good one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, watch him this past year. He was phenomenal. He was number 8.
Okay.
Hey, I've got.
He's from Canada. He's a phenomenal athlete.
Don't tell me that it's going to be a kid from Canada. Gosh, surely there'll be some guys from America.
We got 3 basketball players from Canada. Hey, but I pulled and copied all the players from Troy University that's been drafted since the beginning.
I'm ready.
You ready for this, Mike?
Yeah, I'm ready.
1969, Glenn Thompson, Miami Dolphins.
Was he the first one ever?
Right.
First one.
Okay.
1970, defensive back, Ronnie Shelley to the Patriots.
Oh, yeah, he's a great one.
19
He was a great one.
1971, Jack Smith to the Eagles.
That's right. Jack Smith was a great one. Number 44.
Defensive tackle, New York Giants, Wade Brantley, 1973.
All right, let me tell you this. If you did some research on him, he's perhaps the best lineman that's ever played at Troy. He's a great one. Maybe even the best player that ever played at Troy.
Did he have a long NFL career?
Yeah, went to play. I want to say went to play for the Eagles. Is that what you had?
Well, he drafted.
What round were these guys drafted? I like.
Okay, all right, let's start over. All right, Thompson was drafted in the 14th round, Ronnie Shelley in the 13th round. All right, and then in 1971, Jack Smith in the 6th round.
Yeah.
Wade Brantley, that we just talked about, in the 6th round. In 1977, in the 5th round, The New York Jets select wide receiver Perry Griggs.
He was a great one.
Boy, he was a great one. Who was that? He played with Jets, or who was he with?
Well, he signed. That's who drafted him, the Jets.
Yeah.
1978 in the 11th round, defensive end to the San Francisco 49ers, Willie McRae.
Oh, he was a good one. He transferred to Troy from Alabama.
1980 in the 10th round, the Denver Broncos select wide receiver Virgil C.
Oh boy, he was a great one.
He was one of the what they call
Smurfs.
Was he a triplet?
The
Isn't that what
Smurfs.
they call them, the Redskins?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Let me tell you,
The
he was
Smurfs.
a Smurfs. I'll tell you something he did in college that you don't ever hear of. You don't ever hear this. He ran 3 punts back against Livingston one night. 3 punts back against Livingston.
Virgil
Have
C.
y'all ever heard of anybody run 3 punts back?
Yeah, I was at the game. He played for Coach Bradshaw. That is. I bet that's never been equaled in college football.
That's right.
In the 1981 draft, in round 8, the Houston Oilers select wide receiver Willie Tullis.
Yeah.
Oh boy, he was a good one too. And I saw him run 100 yards against. I want to say it was against Dallas.
As longtime Trojans remember, he was a quarterback in college, and he actually ended up playing defensive back for the Oilers. So he was the definition of an athlete. He could have played all those positions.
Out of Headland, Alabama.
I'm impressed that this many Division II guys got drafted. I didn't realize this. It's good to know.
1982, in the 9th round, the New England Patriots select wide receiver Kevin Murdoch.
Remember him?
Okay, boy, you remember him, Mike? You remember him after the Jacksonville game that night? You remember that?
I don't know. I don't remember that name. What year was this?
1982, Kevin Murdoch.
Yeah, I was 6 years old, I guess.
I tell you,
I was born in '76.
I'll tell you this, the late great Troy Morgan, and he was the late great Troy Morgan. Old Kelvin Murdoch practically, he was always going to his house, and he was so good, Troy Morgan.
I remember one player from the Coach Bradshaw era that played in the pros. He must not have been drafted. Sherman Wilkerson was a defensive back from Enterprise.
He sure was.
And
From
I think
Enterprise,
he must have been a free agent, but he was in the pros for a little while. He was great. His little brother later played at Alabama, but Sherman, the big brother that played at Troy, was better.
1985, in the 9th round, the Redskins pick guard Mitch Gear.
Oh boy, Mitch Geyer was a
Geyer.
great one. Mitch Geyer.
1986, in the 9th round, the Pittsburgh Steelers draft linebacker Anthony Hinton.
And he played a lot too, out of Birmingham, Alabama. He was a good one.
1988, wide receiver New York Giants in the 11th round select Greg Harris.
Oh yeah, boy, he was a great wide receiver.
1980.
You had Harris and you had Virgil. You had Harris and oh man, who was it, Dad? You had them both on the same team.
Was it? Oh shoot, he was a great.
You had Harris and Titus Dixon on the same team.
Right, 1989, in the 6th round, the New York Jets selected Titus Dixon. That's who drafted
That's
him.
right. That's the other one.
Seems like there's more receivers than any other position so far.
Let me tell you this. How would you like to have to defend it? Say you're a linebacker or cornerback. How you had, you could, with how hard it would be to defend a no huddle wishbone with some great running back and a defensive. One kid ran 4-4, and the other kid ran 4-3.
Isn't that funny that you had these great receivers when you were running the wishbone?
That's right.
All right,
How could you defend him on the corner? It was unbelievable.
I don't have the year, but in the 8th round, The Falcons select tight end Reggie Dwight.
Yeah, he played on Coach Blakeney's first team. He was a big,
Boy, he
huge.
was a great one. He was big tight end. He was a protocol tight end.
Yeah, remember they would put him at fullback sometime on the goal line.
All right, 1992. Okay, 1992, in the third round, the Cincinnati Bengals select defensive back Leonard Wheeler.
Yeah.
Oh, he was a good one.
So he was the highest draft pick ever up until that point in the third round.
Yeah, he played his whole career at Ole Miss and then transferred for 1 year.
That's right.
Nin-
Max Howell had a lot to do with us getting him. I remember that.
1994, in the fourth round, the New York Jets select wide receiver Orlando Parker.
Oh gosh, how good was he? Out of Sidney Lanier High School in Montgomery.
An Auburn transfer, right?
I thought Parker. I've seen Parker play at JD.
Well, all right, but I could be right.
I think he was might have been the fastest player in that whole draft. He was a speed
Let's
merchant.
find out who he played for. There's a chance to do that. All right, go ahead.
All right, 1997, in the fourth round, the Houston Oilers select defensive end Pratt Lyons.
Oh boy,
Pratt Lyons.
he was. I want to say he was a transfer from Ohio State. Where was he from, Mike?
No, Pratt Lyons was not. Marcus Spriggs was from Ohio State.
Yeah, we're getting up to
Okay.
Marcus here in a minute.
Pratt Lyons would have had an unbelievable pro career. He was having, great success, but he injured his neck, and his career was over in the pros.
1998, in the sixth round, the San Diego Chargers select defensive back Clifford Ivory.
Oh yeah, gosh, he was good. You're right. Boy, Troy had some good ones. All right.
1999, Cleveland Browns, in the sixth round, select defensive tackle Marcus Spriggs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All
He
right,
was considered one of the best in the country then.
we had two in the year of 2000.
Is that the first time we had two in one draft?
Yes.
Okay.
According to what I have.
Okay.
In the sixth round, wide receiver, the Atlanta Falcons select Marino Filion.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah.
He started
He
off
was
as a
great.
quarterback. Yeah.
He was from Atlanta, so that
He was one of the best.
And the
Marino and I worked in the Olympics together in '96.
Nice guy. I remember.
He was a great guy, great kid too, great
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
in the fourth round, the Washington Redskins select guard Michael Moore.
Yep.
Transfer from Alabama.
Mookie, they called him Mookie. Mookie Moore.
Mookie Moore. He was about 6'5", 320 pounds.
I'm going to tell you my Mookie Moore story. I was a photographer, a reporter for some Troy newspaper then, and I was always on the sidelines at the games, and it was a hot game, man, and the linemen would come and take their spot on the bench right after they got off the field, and some coach or player said something to Mookie Moore, and man, he jumped on that person like I have never seen anybody jump on a person. I mean, when you're that beat up and tired and hot, you might better refrain from saying certain things.
Probably Wayne Bolt. Wayne Bolt was an offensive line coach.
2001, in the fifth round, the New York Giants select wide receiver Jonathan Carter.
Oh yeah, boy, I remember him.
He could fly too. He played several years in the pros.
2003, in the seventh round, the Miami Dolphins select defensive tackle Davern Williams.
Yep, Davern's coaching.
He's coaching. Yeah.
Yep. In the second round,
He started at Auburn, I think.
Yeah.
He was
He
good.
did. Yeah.
in the second round, the New York Giants select defensive end.
OCU Manora.
See you in New York.
That is correct. The 56th pick overall.
I think he married a Miss Universe, a past Miss Universe.
He did. He works
2005.
for, you know where he works? He works for the NFL huge position, wasn't it?
He's got a great personality and very well spoken. So yeah.
With the 11th pick in round 1, the Dallas Cowboys select defensive end DeMarcus Ware.
Go back to OC. When was he picked? What was his overall?
Number 2.
Second round.
So he was he was the highest pick until DeMarcus Ware.
Correct. All right, here we go.
Yeah. Speaking of DeMarcus Ware, they're going to have DeMarcus Ware Day at Trojan Arena for all the students on April the 19th. So you're talking about 3 days away.
Is that Monday?
DeMarcus Ware Day in Troy, Alabama.
Is that?
Oh, that's good.
Or at Troy University.
Yeah, that's
Well, we need to get him on the show, Mike. Call him up.
I think it's for students only.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right, 2007, in the 4th round, the Indianapolis Colts select defensive back Brandon Condon. That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. 2008, in the 1st round, the 11th pick, the Bills select defensive back
Leotis McKelvin.
Leotis McKelvin.
Let's talk about now. I thought the best kick returner Troy ever had, and they've had some great ones, was Virgil Say. I used to call him, maybe it's Virgil C. But Leotis McKelvin was another level. I mean, he had about 11 punt and kickoff returns in his career for touchdowns. And I'm going to say that he probably had about 4 or 5 that he ran back that were called back because of stupid clipping penalties. And he was.
Hey, all right.
I know he had one against UAB one night called back.
I tell you, the biggest one that he had, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, was against Sanford, and their quarterback that day was the head coach.
No, that was it. That was year. This is Leotis was on Division 1 days. You're talking about Shipman, number 1.
Who?
The wide receiver was Shipman, number 1. That was such a great returner. You're thinking about Terry Bowden and Jimbo Fisher days. Leotis McKelvin played more Division 1.
All right, okay.
But he had that. Well, I mean, Leotis McKelvin? What makes a great kicker? He just had such explosiveness so fast. I mean, in like 2 steps, he was going full speed and upfield.
As a freshman, he averaged 11.7 yards punt return, 21.9 kickoff as a freshman.
Yeah. Who is that, Mike? Who is that you're saying? I thought that who was that ran it back against Stanford to win the game?
That was a guy named Shipman, a wide receiver.
Shipman ran that back?
This is the 1AA days. When we beat Terry Bowden, that was 2002.
Yeah, McKelvin won the play. McKelvin won the play against Stanford.
It was Larry's second year when Troy went 10-1.
And a guy named Chipman ran it back?
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I don't remember
Well,
that.
definitely McKelvin. McKelvin was like 10 years later.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Okay, let's see. In 2009, in the 2nd round, the Carolina Panthers select defensive back Sherrod Martin.
Great player. Played in the NFL for several years.
2010, we had 3 picks.
That's the record, right?
Yep. In the 7th round, the Buffalo Bills select quarterback Levi Brown.
Yeah.
In the 6th round. In the 6th round.
Let me stop you there. So Levi Brown was the first Troy University product that was drafted as a quarterback in the draft. First ever. Well, you count Willie Tullis, but they drafted him as an athlete. So, okay.
Okay. In the 6th round, the Arizona Cardinals select defensive back Jarok Calvin.
Yeah, George Calvin was a great player.
George
He was a good
Calvin.
kick returner too.
Yeah.
Only problem with George Calvin is when Troy went up 31-3 against LSU, he fumbled a punt late in that game, and that killed Troy because LSU, I think, got the ball at like the 20-yard line.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. Buffalo Bills from 2008 to 2015, and then he played for the Eagles in 2016. So he had about a 9-year NFL career.
Yeah.
He hurt his knee. I remember that, and he was a great kick returner, punt returner for the Bills when they let him do it.
Right. All right.
He was all rookie team in 2008, and all pro in 2012. So he wasn't like a bust.
No.
He was a decent NFL player.
In 2010, in the 5th round, the Kansas City Chiefs select linebacker Cameron Sheffield.
So that's the year we had 3 picks.
They had 3. 7th round, 6th round, 5th round.
You know, there's been a lot of years where Alabama had just 1 or nobody picked, and then there was one year that Troy had 3. Just pre-Saban, of course.
And in 2011, in the 3rd round, the New York Giants select from Eufaula, Alabama, the wide receiver Jarok. Jernigan.
You know, I thought he would have had a better NFL career. He hung around for several years, but in college he was electric.
Oh, you know, he was starting wide receiver the last 6 or 7 games his 3rd year, and he went into the last year of his contract. He was supposed to be the star wide receiver for the Giants. He blew out his knee or
something happened.
Ankle surgery or something, and never was the same again. Now, Jernigan's career ended because he was injured.
All right, 2012 in the 5th round, the Atlanta Falcons select defensive end Jonathan Massaquoi.
Yeah.
Massaquoi.
Yeah, he was a transfer.
Okay. And the last one that I had that they listed, 2017 in the 3rd round, the New England Patriots select tackle Antonio Garcia.
Yeah, he's been a huge bust.
And that's what I have.
So that's been 18, 19, 20, 3 years, and we probably won't have anybody this year, so it'll go to 4 years without a player selected.
Yeah.
Another thing about the draft that people don't realize is the draft has shrunk. It was once 30 or 40 rounds, and now I think it's 7.
That's 34 picks, but we've had multiple free agents. Multiple.
That's good, great research for us. Nobody's ever done that. You need to type that up and send it to Bobby at the Messenger, and just run it as a story.
Well, I could make a paper plane and fly it over there, maybe.
Yeah.
But I did it because we kind of talked about Alabama and Auburn yesterday. Their number 1 draft picks, but I said, well, let me just.
Well, the first player picked from Troy was in 1969. So yeah, I mean, in there.
And
I'm looking at 3. I'm looking at 3 former quarterbacks that were probably the best 3 football players in Troy history. Number 1 was number 10. What was his name?
I say the best one was Sam Bird, 12.
I'm just throwing these out. One I wore 3, one I wore 7, and one I wore 12 were probably the best quarterbacks in our history.
I thought Mike Turk wore number 1.
Well, he would have won. I'm not. All right. He's no one, but I would have put the guy from Headland, number 7.
Yep.
Willie Tullis.
Number 10 was Kelvin Simmons.
Yep.
The great one out of Mobile. He was a great player. And then of course Sam Bird. Just think of these players, how good they were.
I mean, Sam was good. Sam was good. But I think anybody knows that Turk's the greatest quarterback ever to play at Troy.
Oh yeah, no question. He's probably the greatest player they ever played. You're right. It was close though. I mean, Sam was that dominant. He was a great player, but
Turk won two national championships.
Yeah, that's right. And he was a great one.
You know,
and he was the runner-up in the Harlan Hill Award. But he should have won.
That's right.
I'm kind of partial to Willie Tullis because he played for Coach Bradshaw, who I was so close to the Bradshaws. But can you picture Willie Tullis playing in one of these wide open run and shoot, run pass option offenses today?
Well,
he would have been a Heisman Trophy candidate.
Yeah.
Well, let's take
a good personal friend of mine, and he transferred from southern Mississippi to play for Troy, and he actually didn't play. I don't think he played, but for 1 year under Bradshaw, and he ran the option, but he ran the actual beer offense.
Yeah. Yeah, but he could pass it. He could throw it back then. And,
yeah, he could do it.
and if I remember correctly, he played more than 1 year. He split time with somebody else his junior year. He got a lot of playing time, but he wasn't the man.
I want to say it was McKinnon. Was it McKinnon?
No, he came after Willie. I mean, he's my distant cousin, J.R. McKinnon.
Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, yeah, okay.
But there was a good quarterback that I think Willie's last year would have been 79 or 80, and then there was a
I'm
quarterback.
going to throw a name out to you that you might remember, Eddie Robar. You remember Eddie Robar?
Oh, yeah.
He was a good quarterback at Troy.
Well, that's about
I guess the greatest free agent NFL player to play at Troy that wasn't drafted has to be Lawrence Hines. He won 2 Super Bowls and kicked for about 10 years in the NFL.
Well,
That's
Steve
right.
McClendon's 35 years old. He's still rocking.
And who was the punter when Tynes was the kicker? He played in the NFL too.
Matt Allen.
Matt Allen.
Yeah, Matt Allen. Yeah, he played in the Super Bowl.
Boy, they had Tynes and Allen at the same time, and I, as a little observer reporter, I would watch those guys, and I remember thinking, golly, you don't see
You know what?
see many kickers at Alabama or Auburn or Ohio State that kick better than these guys.
Lawrence Hines made a kick against Green Bay one night. They say it was the longest kick ever in cold weather. I think it was like minus something degrees, and he kicked a 47-yarder to win the game.
You know what? One school, the young man played for Catholic High School in Montgomery.
I think so. Yeah, Matt Allen.
Excuse me, not Catholic, but the other
American Christian?
private. No, it's private school though.
Calvary or no or.
At Calvary, he played for Calvary.
How about JTR? I'm looking forward to JTR putting a foot on a football. John Taylor Renfro.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
JTR.
Yeah, he can kick it.
Boom.
They sure. I tell you what, he's gotten a lot of press lately.
Yeah.
And he's a fine athlete. He's a good baseball
Yeah,
player.
Troy's got one of the worst kicking teams I've ever seen last year, so he ought to come right in and start, I would imagine.
Talking about baseball, he's hitting the baseball real good from Pike Liberal Arts, and they're still rocking and rolling. They have a game today. They travel somewhere, and I'll look that up in a minute.
This is playoff time
But
coming up. Isn't it?
the JV tournament has started at Macon East, and the JV team is undefeated. They won again yesterday against Clark Prep, 10-1.
The Pike Liberal Arts JV
Yes.
baseball. You know who
Yeah.
plays for that, don't you?
Your nephew,
Will Rice.
Will Rice.
Ninth
And,
grader. Remember him? He's tall and lanky, left-hander.
They're 16-0, so look out, America. But ladies and gentlemen,
Wait a minute.
How is
Tell me who this is.
how's Coach White's son doing at South Florida State?
doing good. They're all just swinging the bat. They're taking turns, scoring runs, hitting home runs.
Shutting people down on the mound.
Yes, they're
Living
they're
up to
rolling.
their hype. It's hard to have all these high expectations and live up to them. So I
We
don't
gotta-
want to
Let me ask this. All right, let me ask you this, right? Your brother's son is a star pitcher.
Well, I don't know if he's a star yet, but he's
for JV.
No, but what I'm saying, but he's pitching a lot. Is that right? What's his name?
Will Rice, yeah, he's pitching for the JV team a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's
Yeah,
there.
the JV team is 16-0, and they're playing for the state tournament championship in Montgomery, or outside of Montgomery at Macon East. And I hear the teams playing. They defeated Clark Prep yesterday, 11-1. It's double elimination. It will be, besides Clark Prep, Macon East, South Choctaw, Patrician, Lowndes, Glenwood, and Lee Scott are the teams. And today, they are scheduled to play at 1 o'clock between the winner of Macon East or Choctaw. So Pike Liberal Arts JV should be playing at Macon East versus.
Well, what that tells me is that the dynasty that is Pike Liberal Arts baseball is going to continue after even we lose these great players that are playing right now.
And the championship game, there'll be multiple games today and tomorrow. The championship game is set Saturday at 7 p.m. A second game, if it's needed, will be starting at 9 p.m. So go do some shopping in Montgomery. Visit your
Let me make this point about Pike LeBlanc baseball that some viewers might not know. Pike LeBlanc, what year are we in now? 2021? Let me do my math. In 2018, Pike LeBlanc won the state championship. 2019, Pike LeBlanc stunned this Morgan Academy team that was full of SEC players and won the state championship. 2020, they canceled the season in mid-March, and Pike LeBlanc was getting ready to do what? Win the state championship. They just didn't get a chance to. This year, knock on wood, Pike LeBlanc should win the state championship. That would be 4 in a row, folks.
Hold that thought.
That don't happen.
Hold that thought. The softball team has a chance. The golf team has a chance to win it as well.
The cheerleaders win it.
Yep.
And that's a sport too.
You know what's not bringing up more than anything is they won a state championship in football with first-year coach. First time he's ever been a head coach, Mario White. Matt Brown had never been a head coach, been an assistant coach. He won the state championship in basketball. And then Russ Hinton, first year ever as a head coach, he's probably going to win in baseball. How about that?
Yeah.
Hey, I've got an article. Have y'all read where Major League Baseball in one of the minor leagues, they're going to back the pitcher's mound up 12 inches because there's too many strikeouts. The strikeout rate is going up. They're going to back up the mound.
That's an experiment.
12 inches as an experiment in minor league baseball. They're testing it. It's in the article.
You know what they need to do?
I don't know much. It's 12 inches like a foot.
Yes.
Okay.
You know what they need to do that in is in softball. I mean, you've got all these games where the pitchers strike out 16 players and nobody gets a hit. I think the mound, there is no mound, but the pitching rubber is too close.
You know, and let's take a quick break. It's about 7:44, and ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for joining us this Friday morning, April the 16th. We would like to thank, on behalf of Mike Amos, Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Troy, Alabama, Jason Gregory. Nobody can beat their deal. Nobody. They have a great commercial on now featuring a Don Knotts, Barney Fife lookalike. Also want to thank Troy Bank and Trust. They have 14 locations in this part of America. And want to thank everybody. And we'll be back in just a few minutes for Today in L.A. with Mike Amos and friends.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Starting April 1st, all your local county and school board meetings will be moving to BBTV, Channel 17. Catch Pike County Commission, Troy City Council, and school board meetings live on Facebook, YouTube, and BBTV, brought to you by Troy Cable.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Join us at the Troy Fest Fine Art and Craft Festival in downtown Troy. We have more than 100 vendors with something for everyone. From pottery, photography, glasswork, painting, woodwork, and more. We hope to see you in downtown Troy the last weekend in April. Open Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4. Please come and enjoy a good time and celebrate the arts on April 24th and 25th. Join us at the Troy Fest Fine Art and Craft Festival in downtown Troy. We have more than one.
This is Barney at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, and I'm here to nip this sale in the bud.
Hello, folks. This is Greg Anthony, sales manager at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Troy, Alabama, offering discounts up to $15,000.
Let's nip that.
0% financing up to 72 months.
We gotta nip that.
Barney, $5,000 over Kelly Blue Book for your trade-in.
You're killing the competition.
Barney!
Getting ready. Welcome back. Welcome back to Today in L.A. With Mike Amos and friends. I'm Forrest Lee. This is Bill Rice. And calling in is his son Michael Amos that you see on the screen. And want to mention earlier in a commercial we just saw that Troy Fest in Troy, Alabama will be next weekend. It'll be Friday. It's going to start Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, 9 till 5 on Saturday, and on Sunday 10 till 4. So go visit all the arts and crafts and food vendors and entertainment that will be on the square in downtown Troy next weekend. And speaking of the community of Troy, the Salvation Army reported in the paper last Friday they raised $12,858 in the Empty Bowls campaign.
Wonderful.
And that's to help the needy in Pike and surrounding counties.
That's a good fundraiser.
And our hats are off to the Salvation Army and Mrs. May, Kim May, and all her friends that put that on.
The most impressive fundraiser I've heard of is that fraternity that walks the beach every year. Didn't they raise about $90,000 for the Wounded Warriors Project?
I tell you what, you're right. We need to bring that guy into our show and congratulate that team of people. They were great.
Hey, speaking of walking,
what's wrong with your Stephen Cobb, Forrest? Why can't they do something like that?
Well, that's a kind of a unique thing. We, all the Greek systems, they do a lot of stuff that people really don't know that they do. And they need to publicize that more to show what Greeks can do that are doing other than what you might hear a glimpse of.
Having cake parties.
Well, there's more to Greek and college life than what comes across the normal eye. And I'll say this, don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see. But we got two young men in this area, Taylor Manning and Max Kersey. They are walking the Appalachian Trail, which is 2,190 miles. I don't know how far they're going, but I know Carrie Manning is Taylor's mother. I think his grandmother was Jacqueline Smith. And Max Kersey, his parents are Terry Sr. and Shannon. But they are on the trail and they're posting pictures and videos along the way. And my only comment to them was pack cornstarch.
Why is that?
Well, it keeps you dry. When you're sweating, or for all athletic purposes, when you start chafing or you start, things get raw, like the inside of your thighs, put cornstarch, pure cornstarch that you get in the flour section of the grocery store.
Yeah.
It is great to keep you dry. All football players need to do it, baseball players, and it works. It's good.
Yeah. Let me tell you, you mentioned somebody while you were saying that was a legend in a certain event here in Troy. Do you know what that was? Jacqueline Smith.
Oh, yes.
Miss Jacqueline Smith made Troy University's beauty pageant one of the best in the country. Troy had a world-class beauty pageant every year. It was a Miss TSU contest, and Jacqueline Smith was the main person behind it.
Well, when I was in college is when Troy University had a plethora, a lot of junior misses throughout the country.
It's had at least two graduates that were in Miss America. I know Jocelyn Tinker, that's a good friend of mine, lives in London now. She was a finalist in Miss America, won the swimsuit competition. She came to Troy.
You had Rebecca's friend that was the reporter on television.
When I was in high school, there was a Troy University student who was competed in Miss America because our little high school newspaper, the Trojan Miss, did a feature story on her. I want to say Emily Green Ellis did that story.
Well, Angie Grice, was she a junior miss from Virginia or West Virginia?
Yeah.
We had a ton of. At one time, there's like 13 junior misses walking the campus
Virginia.
of Troy University.
She was Miss West Virginia.
Because Troy gave good scholarships.
Some people say that John Reeves stayed at more junior misses at Troy University for 15 years than anybody.
Well, I beg the differ. That's all I'll say.
I'll never forget. I was in the grocery.
I don't know. John Reeves is pretty legendary.
I was in the grocery store.
I'm discreet. I'm sorry.
Let me try it the third time. I was in the grocery store checkout line one time.
Sorry.
After Jocelyn graduated from Troy, she went to Southern Miss for grad school, I think, and then went back to Alaska, her home state. But I'm in the checkout grocery store and I pick up, the National Enquirer or the Globe or one of these tabloids, and I open it up and it's picking who they think is going to win Miss America, and it has a picture of Jocelyn saying that's one of the favorites, and she worked for me for a year at the Troy Citizen.
Yeah, Mike, you were right. There was a beauty queen that Rebecca, who became her scout leader. She was her scout leader, and she went on to be
top five in Miss America.
Third runner-up or something in Miss America.
Oh yeah, third runner-up. Yeah.
Well, speaking of Troy University, and Miss Troy University is a local girl this year.
Who?
Miss Eden Hips.
Oh, really?
Eden Hips is Miss Troy University.
Is that Darren Hips' daughter?
Yeah, that sure is.
And
Her
sister's getting married.
and
Her sister's getting married to a football player. The boy from Enterprise, the big old boy from Enterprise. What's his name?
Bradshaw.
Yeah, Bradshaw. I call him Pancake Bradshaw because he pancakes everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But Abby did their wedding pictures or their wedding engagement pictures at the beach this past weekend.
Awesome. Yeah.
Eden's sister.
Where'd she go to high school?
To my knowledge,
Pike Liberal Arts.
To my knowledge, that's the first ever Troy. Now the Roney girl, do you remember the Roney girl that was came through Troy? She went very high in that contest.
I've got the names right here. This is a 1980. Yolanda Fernandez.
That's her. Yep.
That's her.
That is it.
Yeah, that's her.
From Florida.
She was, yeah.
Jody Julson from North Dakota. Diane Barfield from North Carolina.
Look at all these other states. Yeah.
Eva Carter from Illinois.
Oh, these are the finalists in the Miss.
No, yeah, these are the ones that attended Troy University.
Okay.
Okay.
These are Miss. These are former Miss Troy.
1980 and 19. Yeah, these are the girls who came to Troy from other states in the 81, 80, and 79.
But what are we saying? Are they former Miss Troy University?
No, they're junior misses from different states that came to Troy.
Okay.
All right. You got Diane Arnzen from Idaho. Marina Unanushi from Michigan. Christy Grant from Wyoming. Nicole Carey from Massachusetts. Sherry Ashmore from Oregon. Sue Horvath.
That's
she
amazing.
was America's junior miss in 1980. Janice Clark from South Carolina. Jane Barbados from Missouri. Barbara Lawrence from Rhode Island. Tammy Kuhn from Iowa. This is 79. We're still in 79.
Listen to all these states, though, from all over America that these people.
I mean, I can name them all.
Let me tell you this: Miss Dr. and Miss Adams are the reason that happened. That they really supported that.
Well,
Judy Campbell from Troy.
They must have given great scholarships to make all these people.
All right, now you mentioned the Campbell girl from Troy.
Yes, sir. She was a junior miss, Alabama's junior miss. Yeah.
What's her name again?
Judy Campbell.
Yeah,
she was Alabama's junior miss.
Yes.
Junior miss from Troy.
All right. Lisa Cloutier, 1976. Yvonne Albee. Kelly Yost from Montana.
Tell us where they're from. Okay.
Okay, Montana. All right. I'm going from backwards. I'm going back up. Denise Ritter from Delaware, 1976. Gail Walker from Alaska. 1977. Roselle Stark, Sharon Roselle Stark from, I believe, Alaska. Angela Metters, Alabama's junior miss. Delane Ingle, South Dakota's junior miss. Candy Conaday, Indiana. Cindy Wolf from Maryland. Paula Bergeron from Louisiana. I remember Paula.
How many names? How many names is this going to be? Like about 500?
I mean, there's a bunch of them. I don't see any
Every
more.
junior miss has ever been granted a scholarship, or
Oh, this is full ride. I think they got a full ride to come to Troy.
I don't know if they still do it. Now it's no longer called Junior Misses. Alabama.
Distinguished women's pageant or something.
Yeah.
You know what that was.
When did they stop? When did they stop offering scholarships?
I do not know, but
it was the best thing they ever did.
It was the best promotional thing Troy's ever done, because these were premium, these were top girls in all those states, and they became great citizens and great students in our school.
they were. That's right. But anyway,
That's pretty interesting. I'll put it up.
yeah, it was. I think at one time we had like 13 or 14 junior
I'll
misses.
tell you how I met Jocelyn. I was working at the Pike County Chamber of Commerce as the membership director. And what does the membership director do? He goes to all the ribbon cuttings.
Yeah.
So I went to a ribbon cutting. I think it was the parts rental place that Mr. Reeves owned. It was his ribbon cutting. And I'm talking to all the beauty queens, and one of them was a striking red-haired girl who was Miss Troy University as a freshman, and her name was Jocelyn Tinker. And then I kept seeing her at all these ribbon cuttings and got to know her. And later, when I started my own newspaper, I offered her a job as a writer. But yeah, she was doing the ribbon cutting circuit.
Right. Let me say this.
Right. You must have been single at the time.
Yeah, I was only like.
I'll tell you this is a wonderful story you could do. This would be a great story.
I agree. You're right.
The junior misses of Troy University.
Mike he knows good story when he hears one. This
You
is
may
a good
need
story.
about 400
All right,
pages.
Rice, you got the NFL draft on April 29th. Mel Kiper Jr., who's the guru, has Matt Jones going to the 49ers at number 3. At number 8, he's got Devontae Smith going to Carolina. At number 11, he's got Jalen Waddle going to the Giants. At number 12, he's got Patrick Surtain going to the Eagles.
4 in the top 12? Gosh.
At number 24, he's got Najee Harris going to the Steelers. And this would break the record, tie the record with 6. Christian Barmore going to the Tampa Bay Bucks at 32.
Wow.
Oh, I thought the record was 5, but you got to get 6 to tie Miami.
I think LSU has it. Miami or
I
LSU.
thought LSU had 5 or 6. I'm not sure.
I'll look at it.
You know, I was looking. I'm fascinated by this draft stuff, probably because Alabama has so many number 1 possibilities. I was looking at a story, Michael, that listed all the different draft gurus, and I think it had 8 or 9 Alabama players that in one draft, mock draft or another, or first-round picks. Like they even had Deontay Brown is in some places going first round, Landon Dickerson, the big tackle. But isn't that amazing that there are at least 9 possible first-round draft picks on one college football team?
I tell you what's amazing is the fact that Mac Jones is going to be drafted higher than Tua, it looks like. Looks like he's going to go number 3, and Tua went number 5. How hard to believe is that?
That's right.
See the difference one season makes, and so many people wanted to cancel that college football season?
The next guy, the Athletic, has 7 guys going in the first round. He's got Alex Leatherwood going 31 to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had both their offensive tackles were hurt in the Super Bowl.
If you throw in Leatherwood, Dickerson, and this big guard Brown, I think that's 9 players that are, you know, they all won't go in the first round, of course, but at least some people think they could. I bet they'll all go in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, you know, you got the center, Dickerson. If he wouldn't have blown out his knee, he definitely would have been first round.
Yeah. But, man, if you've watched what he's been doing since he hurt that knee, I think this guy's the quickest healer I've ever seen. He looks like he's back 100% already. Did you see the video where somebody at Alabama's Pro Day where they were interviewing Mac Jones, and then in the background there's Landon
doing cartwheels? Yeah.
doing 3 or 4 cartwheels in a row right behind you?
You mean Mac Jones was doing cartwheels?
No, Landon Dickerson, the 320-pound center that blew out his knee, is doing cartwheels right behind the camera.
It's an interesting article. Alabama football quarterback. Who's the best quarterback during the Saban era? Who would you say is the best?
Man, based on one season, I'm going with Mac Jones. I'm not projecting pros, but I mean that season he had last year was phenomenal.
Here's the rankings they have. They have Blake Sims at number 5. You know, he had that one great year. Jake Coker at number 4 is tied with Jalen Hurts, so they're number 4 together. After that, you've got Tua Tagovailoa. This is surprising. A.J. McCarron is number 2. He won 2 national championships. And then after that, you've got Mac Jones at number 1. It's pretty amazing that Mac Jones has skyrocketed the number 1 quarterback under the Saban era.
Is that amazing?
You know what? I would say that A.J. McCarron, he did win 2 national championships, and he was a kick 6 away from maybe winning 3. In all 3 years he was a starter. That's amazing.
No question about it.
I mean, you know, a lot of people will never realize how amazing that year was with Blake Sims. You're talking about a guy that was a backup running back, then was like moved to quarterback kind of like an emergency. I mean, that tells you what kind of a coach Lane Kiffin is. I mean, he had him playing just phenomenal football at quarterback for Alabama.
Yep, he is an amazing. Jake, I love the Jake Coker story. You know, he was a really good quarterback that senior year.
You know, I don't see how anybody could keep from calling Alabama quarterback youth. They've had some great ones.
Now it's wide receiver.
My favorite of all time.
Offensive lineman.
Come down
Cornerback.
to 2 people, and that would be Joe Namath and one of them would be, and then the other one would be
Kenny Stabler.
Kenny Stabler.
Both in the NFL Hall of Fame, and Bart Starr.
Bart Starr won 5 world
How many?
championships.
That would be an interesting trivia question. How many colleges have 3 NFL Hall of Fame quarterbacks? Can't be many colleges that have more than 3.
Alabama beat Auburn in baseball last night in a walk-off in the 10th inning up in Tuscaloosa. Alabama moved to 21-12 on the season, 6-7 in SEC. But this is interesting here, Dad. Auburn fell to 13-17 on the year, 1-12, 1-12 in the SEC. You're talking about a team that was in the College World Series 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And
you
softball
know,
team falling off too.
Great coaches, you know, too. You know,
Gabe Gross and Tim Hudson coaching on the staff.
Either the conference is exceptionally strong or Alabama. I saw Alabama a few months ago, and I thought they were pretty good. Didn't you, right?
Yeah, I did, Mike. Yeah, they looked sound to me. Well, you know, I'm no baseball expert, but you know they say got to be strong up the middle, play good defense. It looked like they had some hitters.
You know,
but your comment about that.
Coach Thompson at Auburn is making calls to Pine Liberal Arts when Drew Nelson can graduate early.
Yeah, I know it.
It wouldn't surprise me if Drew goes pro.
I've seen a lot of young.
How's he doing this year?
Good. I don't know what the
Drew
records
is not a power pitcher of yet, but he's still just in the 9th grade. He's 10th or 11th grade now.
11th grade. 11th.
Yeah, he's in the 11th grade.
You said Mike, yeah, you said he had a change-up, right?
Yeah, best change-up I've ever seen. And another thing, if you go to one of those games and he's pitching, and he just so happens to allow somebody on base like a walk or a hit or an error or whatever, he got one of the best moves to first base I have ever seen in my life, and I have seen a lot of baseball. And I'm talking about the pros. I'm talking about anybody, a move to first base, you can't even get off a yard. I think people been thrown out because they got off first base for about a yard.
Hey, let me tell you who I bumped into at Julia's when we had Sunday dinner after Easter. Jimmy Norman, who we talk a lot about what a great athlete and baseball player he was, and I was telling him that, you know, Mike brags about how great a baseball player you were, and I've picked up that Jimmy was really fast too. He ran track.
Yeah.
And I said, well, did you steal a lot of bases? He said, no, actually I didn't. He said he was kind of, he was worried about that pickoff move getting him, so he never risked taking a real big lead.
Well, let me just say this. Have you ever been picked off for first base?
Mm-mm.
I have. I have over the years. I used to play a lot of baseball. Then y'all, that can be the most humiliating thing in sports. Is to get picked off for first or second base, and that long walk to the dugout.
You know, we're talking baseball, in high school baseball, the reigning state champions from 2019, who, you know, they didn't get to play last year. All right, in 7A baseball, Hewitt-Trussville, 6A Buckhorn. No, I'm sorry. Baseball, McGill-Tulin is in 7A, Coleman in 6A, Springville in 5A, Brooks in 4A, defending state champion in baseball in Alabama, Providence Christian in 3A.
I didn't realize that.
George W. Long is the reigning champion in 2A.
Right next door to each other, okay.
Mars Hill is number 1 in 1A. For girls softball.
If it wasn't for Mars Hill, you would say Bradley was.
Right.
You know?
All right, now softball. Hewitt-Trussville 1, Buckhorn 2, Hayden 5A, Buckhorn 6A, Hayden 5A, Alabama Christian 4A.
Yeah, they're always good.
Pisgah 3A, 2A, defending champion in both softball and baseball, George W. Long are the defending state champions.
Boy, it's amazing.
And in softball and baseball, Mars Hill are still the defending state champions in Alabama High School Athletic Association. So there we go. That's kind of neat. And
you know, those boys were coached. You know, their dad coached them, and you know, now one of the boys is head coach, the other one's the assistant coach, and they're still winning them. You know, they had won about 10 or 12, and now they're winning a streak zone.
Well, Mike Ayrton is the area champion. They defeated GW Long, so both of them will, you know, go to the playoffs. One is the number 1 seed, the other one is the number 2, and you know that's, you know, Ayrton and GW Long's like Luverne and Brantley.
You know, since we're talking about Pike Liberal Arts and their great sports program and the great run they're on, we should mention that if Pike Liberal Arts does win the state championship this year, that'll be the 3rd in the academic year, which that has only been done twice in AISA history, never at the AAA level, that you have football, basketball, baseball all in the same academic year. Now,
all right, and what if, and this is a big what if, and I think I know where I'm coming from here. What if Pike Liberal Arts was did go to the public schools? They would be with you know, those things you just called out, and how unbelievable it'd be. You'd have Hinton, you'd have Brantley, you would have
Luverne,
Luverne,
GW Long, Holland Home.
yeah.
It'd be.
You'd have tons of teams to play.
Would they be 2 or 3A? But what, you know, there was a post on Facebook earlier in the week about how unfair it is for, say, Montgomery Academy, Trinity, and Catholic to be playing in the public against public schools, because they can, you know, anybody can go to that school, they can travel anywhere. But my thought is, merge all these associations into one. Allow them to play each other during the regular season. and schedule each other during the regular season.
I like that idea.
Then in the playoffs, have your public schools, have your private schools, have your parochial schools and their championships. Do it that way, and if, say, for private schools, allow them to have maybe an upper and a lower division championship. But let them all play each other during the regular season, because Pike Liberal Arts can go across the state line in Florida and play public schools. We need to do the same thing in Alabama. I think Georgia does it, and other states do it. Alabama can do it, so
it would help. It would help the parents with their travel.
You can belong to the same association
and have their own championships, like you say.
Have their own championship at the end of the year.
But in the regular season,
divide them up.
It would be good. It might happen because what drives everything, money. You would have more big gate games if you just had Pike Liberal Arts and Charles Henderson playing a baseball game, they would have 1,500 people at Riddle Pace Field if they played it there.
And to me, that kind of solves the problem, and that's just my 3 cents worth.
Yeah,
but
I can see Pike benefiting so many different ways. But you would have Arrington, Providence, and Brantley, all 3 championship teams. That's just 3, but you could count a lot more.
Well, you didn't mention Zion Chapel. They play Zion Chapel in every sport.
Yeah. And they're very good. And
I don't know if they're very good, but they're in 2A.
Yeah.
Hey, you're talking about Zion Chapel. I drove down there the other day.
Zion Chapel and very good doesn't happen very much.
Well, Zion Chapel is improving their overall atmosphere. There was an old area right there on the left before you got to the school. I think that now belongs to the school system. They're building a brand new gym.
Who donated all this? Who donated all this money to Zion Chapel? I saw it on the way to the beach the other day.
I'm not sure, but they've got a great athletic facility coming up. They are a great school system. They are very good academically, and it's all there again. I think it all is predicated on how good your physical education program is, and how you develop the overall athletic program within your school, getting everybody on the same sheet of music. And I think schools like, I'll say Charles Henderson, we need to go back to a 6 or 7 class period.
I agree.
Because what it's doing, it's limiting the number of kids that can be in the band. It's limiting the number of kids that can be in different activities.
Right.
And it puts a burden on your other teachers when you've got
you're right. The harm, I don't know what benefit is.
What do they have now?
Four blocks.
What is it?
4 blocks. And
4 blocks.
4 blocks.
I guess the logic is that you get 4 blocks one semester, 4 blocks another, so you get 8 blocks in a year. But you have. I think that is a big reason why your band program has shrunk so much. Is they don't have a class for band every day.
And Mike, you've talked about the band being at Charles Henderson. Well, I tell you what, invite Mr. Burkett and Mr. Dennison to a lunch and hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
Because there are things going on with the schedule that they cannot control.
Right. Yeah.
And I say it's time to shake the hornet's nest, and things need to be changed.
The other thing I liked about it was everybody had bands. All my friends that were in the band, they went 1 class every day to the band, and the band was huge. And then the football players had football, PE in 6th period, which was just perfect, because then you could run and sweat at the end of the day and not have to worry about going back to class.
Well, too, you take English in the 9th grade, and then you take it again. That's your semester. If you're on the block, you take, say, English in the 9th grade first semester. Well, you may not get it again until the 2nd semester of your sophomore year. You need English and writing every day.
I'm with
math every day.
Anybody listening? Forrest had some good ideas here, and
I loved Latin. I speak Latin every day. I learned that at Charles.
Well, the people who are in the trenches, your teachers, can tell you and enlighten you. Your retired teachers can enlighten you. The teachers who have left school systems because they're dissatisfied
Well, I can
Talk
tell
to
you
them.
that. Look, I can see it was always 6 periods when I was at school, and it wasn't broke. I don't know why you had to change it. I mean, it's one of these newfangled education reforms that, and most of these education reforms are
It
ridiculous.
was for athletics.
If we went to school today and went to a locker, is there one person talking right now that could open that locker the first time?
Well, you probably don't have lockers. You got to have clear book bags. There's no lockers exist.
They don't have lockers at school anymore?
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't think they do.
Ask Kerry. I don't think so.
No, I don't think.
But I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I'm saying it's time for a change because it hadn't been working. You know, I think it could be much more improved.
What's the definition of insanity? Repeating the same thing and expecting different results. And go back to what worked. But it's not good. It's not good that your band program used to have 250 kids in it now has 50. And that's I don't think it has anything to do with the band directors. It just it has to do with this class scheduling that Forrest is talking about.
Yeah. And there again,
I'm for all schools, all school systems. I'm for it. You know, I just think, and I'm sure the superintendents and the people who are doing curriculum development are looking at it, but the ones who are in the trenches are in the know.
Listen to them.
And I think when you put in a block system, say you got 4 classes. Well, one of those is a planning period for a teacher. You've got a kid for 90 minutes. Guess what? Teachers become lazy. They may teach 15. I mean, I'm just saying maybe they are.
And it's hard to keep your interest for 90
this is
minutes.
high school level. I'm not talking middle school and elementary. That's another subject. But when you're in a 90-minute class, I mean, your attention span is for so long. Mm-hmm. And there again, I'm not the guru, but
well, that's another story that the Messenger needs to explore and write about. Just like this, should Pike LeBlanc go to public school?
I wish
everybody's talking about it.
I wish Mark Bazell was 40 years old and both school systems would consolidate. I said it.
You said it.
Let me just say something here.
And those who are
The train's coming.
That's
what is that?
That orange blossom special.
Yeah. Hey, there's a good article in the Dothan paper about a fellow by the name of J.T. Radney who recently passed away, but he is the guy who ran Rip Hughes Stadium for the city of Dothan for many, many years. There's a great article featuring and honoring Mr. J.T. Radney.
The Circle City.
Hey, Dad, we got the NCAA has officially passed the one-time transfer exception. That got approved yesterday. That's going to change college athletics for the rest of history. I mean, you'll never have the same guys come in recruiting classes and football and baseball and basketball and softball and all the sports. There'll be so many transfers now. It's just going to change college sports as we know it.
Well,
they can just do it 1 year. Is that right?
I know, but one time's more than enough. I mean, most kids, going somewhere, 2 times is usually enough, I would think.
Yeah, that's about it.
Well, I had got a good Coach Saban has some good things to say about that on Alabama.com. I had printed it, but can't find it.
The other thing
it's a big issue.
The other thing that's coming that's going to change athletics is this athletes being able to profit from their name, likeness, and image. Nobody's really thought about what this means, but, in the future, who's the hotshot 5-star recruits? They're going to go to the school where they can have an autograph signing and make $15,000, in an hour, or do a commercial for some local business. Who knows how that's going to be bizarre to see how that plays out. Now it'll benefit your Tuas and your Najis. It ain't going to benefit the girls volleyball player or the girls cross country athlete.
Well,
or the third string, left guard.
It starts in 2022, like the 1st of May, like it's open season, but from starting in 2022, a kid he's got to make his decision by then for fall sports, and it's the 1st of July and 22 for the other sports.
I want to mention another change.
How do teams like Alabama, I mean, they're playing for national championships every year. How do they not reach out to a kid that's playing out west at Southern Cal, or a kid playing in the ACC or some of these different leagues, and put feelers out there and say, hey, we really would love you to come play linebacker or play wide receiver for us next year. I mean, the blue blood programs are going to benefit from this greatly.
That's what Saban had mentioned, and Saban also mentioned, he said, if there's a transfer out there, unless he's better than who we got now, we're not looking at.
Well, he's right. All these, it makes the strong stronger, and the weak weaker is his bottom line. I want to talk about one change I just read that really disturbed me before we came on the air. Dothan Eagle, Facebook users can appeal harmful content. We've all seen these posts on Facebook where, you got these disclaimers now that this contains misleading and untruthful information according to the arbiters of truth, some 22-year-old at Facebook. So I didn't like that, and so I thought, well, maybe this story is about that you can appeal if your post has been flagged. You can, but what it actually is you can now appeal the Facebook. If you don't like a post that Michael Amos made and you think it's misleading or harmful, I can go to Facebook and say, hey, listen, this guy just posted something that's harmful and misleading, and they will take off or stop you from posting. Is that kind of...
Well,
I mean, is that kind of... Am I the only one that's kind of... This sends shivers up my spine when I'm... People ratting out other people, and you talked about your dad dying and fighting for freedom.
If that offends somebody, they can shut me down. I posted something today. I understand what you're saying. It's called...
Well, here's the sentence from this thing. It says... This says, last year to act as the ultimate, Facebook set up the oversight panel last year to act as the ultimate referee on whether specific content should be allowed on its platforms amid furious criticism about its inability to respond to a tide of misinformation, hate speech, and other harmful content. So this AP writer is saying that there is this furious reaction because people are upset that somebody else gets to say what they think. Man, that's scary.
With these colleges...
Let me break away for something else that I think is very important. Stanley Peters. Do y'all know that name, Stanley Peters?
Yes, it rings a bell.
All right, Stanley Peters was a Boy Scout All-American. He was a man that made Boy Scouts as one of the great places in America, and he did it right here in Troy, Alabama, and he died. And I wanted to mention his name. He worked with the Boy Scouts in Troy and Dothan and Ozark, all around. Do y'all know who I'm talking about? I do not.
I remember that name rings a bell. I do.
But I tell you what, he was outstanding, and he has died, and it's a long, tough way for these Boy Scouts who loved him. He was just a tremendous man, and I want everybody to know we have lost a great man in Stanley Peters.
Do we still have an active Boy Scout program?
Yeah. Here are the Boy Scouts leaders that I can remember. Terry Kersey, Brad Bensinger, and now it's David Runyon, Dr. Runyon. And one thing I do want to mention, Mike, on my show Monday night at Mama Goldberg's, we're going to feature and honor the 1659th Movement Control Team from Troy, Alabama that mobilized to Saudi Arabia, and we returned, the majority, in April of this year, 30 years ago. Jimmy Copeland, Don Jeffrey, Sherman Stafford, Jim Stinson, Greg Mobley, Christopher Joel Amos with a beautiful rooster portrait that your mother painted. And we're going to meet at Mama Goldberg's about 6:30, 6:45, and we'll be live. And I'm looking forward to it, and Troy Cable will
What
be
y'all
there.
gonna do? Just tell war stories?
We're going
literally?
to talk about some of the experiences we had, fun and maybe not so fun, and we found some footage yesterday of when we got on the bus.
It's probably from Troy Cable. I guess
It was Troy Cable. Found it yesterday morning, and but a wonderful time. Jim Williford was on there. He mobilized. I just want to mention that, and some of the other guys I have, of course. Terry Turner was there, Lee Gardner, Paul Floyd, Howard Moore.
How are you going to do an hour show of this?
Well, I'm going to see if we can do more than maybe an hour and a half or more, just how long it takes.
I was about to say, that's going to be a lot of people talking, I would imagine.
Yep, and but anyway, that's going to be fun, and
hard to believe that's been 30 years.
30 years ago this April, when they rolled back in. I came back in November with an ankle injury. But Michael, I'm eating at your dad's favorite restaurant that he likes to pick at you about. It don't matter. I'm going to Highland Home, going to eat buffet at 11 o'clock with some fraternity brothers. It don't matter.
And what's the name of the restaurant?
It don't matter. Crenshaw County, Highland Home, up there near Hornover.
Why don't you get them for a sponsor? Because we sure have talked about
them over
the years. They ought to be a named sponsor.
You mean, wait a minute, what are you saying? What's the name of it again?
It don't matter, Mike.
It don't matter.
It don't matter. Wait a minute. I want to know the name of the restaurant.
It don't matter.
Mike's Steakhouse, Crow Hill, Alabama. Get the steaks ready.
Y'all have fun, guys.
At least get them for a sponsor on your show. Somebody needs to have them as a sponsor. We talk about them.
I want to mention, and I tell you, I want to say hello to Don Knotts. He's alive and well at Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram trucks on the bypass. Don Knotts is live and well.
But that's not Don Knotts. That's Barney Fife.
Barney Fife.
Remember, Troy's on the road against Georgia State this weekend. Really important that Troy continues to win. They're 1-2 in a row, so good luck to them. Where's the girls softball team playing for?
Louisiana Monroe. Down there in Cajun country.
Well, y'all
good luck to all them.
And I'll see y'all on stage at the studio Monday morning.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Mike Amos, the founder of this show, and on behalf of his son Michael, who's calling in from Grayton Beach, and on behalf of Bill Rice Jr., I'm Forrest Lee, and we certainly would like to thank you for joining us this morning on Today in L.A. The show will be repeated today at 1:30 p.m., and we hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we're looking forward to seeing you bright and early Monday morning on Today in L.A. with Mike Amos.
Join us at the Troy Fest Fine Art and Craft Festival in downtown Troy. We have more than 100 vendors with something for everyone. From pottery, photography, glasswork, painting,